Before we start the conversation, let me make two important points. First is, I know I'm overdressed in this wonderful congregation. There are two reasons for that. First is, in 1982, I went to a PR firm on Madison Avenue in Manhattan to learn about how to enhance trust in the US and Western Europe, because at that time 100% of our revenue was to come from those countries. Today I think it's about 98%.
Yeah.
What they told me was, look, you have to reduce the dissonance between your culture and their culture if you want to enhance their trust. One of the ways of doing it is to minimize the difference between their culture and your culture. And they said the first aspect of that is your dress. They told me that you should not be dressed in a way different from your customer. Those days, as you know, everybody wore formals, particularly on the Wall Street.
Yeah.
So therefore, I have had this habit for 42 years now, and it's not easy to shake it off. The second reason is, generally, it is my secretary who tells me whether dress is formal or business casual or informal. Unfortunately, maybe you people had written it, I don't know, but I was not given that information. And my trainers in the US had told me, when in doubt, always wear formals. Anyway, the second point that I want to make is that there is not much that I can add value to you people, because you people are smarter. You people have access to more information, more knowledge, more channels, more skills, more expertise. However, there are a few time invariant and context invariant aspects of running a company. And therefore, last night when I met these wonderful three people along with my colleague Deepak and Sheetal and Chira, I told them it would be a lot more valuable, at least that's what I think, for you people, if we had a conversation on those aspects rather than on technical aspects, because even though I am an engineer, I know zilch about batteries. So I said you will be wasting your time. So therefore, this conversation is going to be on the business aspects and the cultural aspects of building an organization. Now you can take it.
And thank you for that, sir. And one of the questions and one of the things that we discussed that day was, and I was delighted to hear that the average age of Log9 is 26, and these young, energetic, highly intellectually driven Log9ers are stepping into their different roles of leading a team, becoming on the managerial side, managing not only product but also the aspiration of their interns and teams and going forward. How did you manage that? Because you said that even at Infosys, early days, it was a bunch of 26-year-olds trying to change the world, and probably something similar happening here.
Well, I found pretty early in the life of Infosys that there are three extremely important factors that contribute to the longevity of a company. First, access to market. Unless a company improves its access to market, however great its ideas may be, it has zero value. I have seen some of the finest youngsters, PhDs from the best institutes, MIT and other institutions in the US, but somehow they had not understood this. So first is access to market. You must have the best salespeople. In fact, some of my colleagues, some of my younger founder colleagues used to get upset with me because I always paid most importance to our salespeople and then second to our finance people. And that created in some sense a little bit of a problem, but now of course they're all billionaires and multiple billionaires. They're all very happy that I did so. So that's the first aspect. Access to market. Get the best salespeople for your company. Second is access to talent. A company is worth zilch unless it brings in the best quality minds. Today, Catamaran has a zero value without people like Deepak Padki, MD Rangnath, who is the chairman, Sheetal Bhatt, Chirag, Raunak Agarwal, many of those. Because it's the power of human mind that innovates and that brings new ideas to the table. So your biggest task is to recruit, enable, empower, and retain the best and the brightest. Once you do it, you will grow.
Absolutely. I think that's been all of our experience. We are blessed to have Log9ers here, and for the three of us, and I can speak for both Akshay and Karthik. If a quiz comes to us that why do we show up at the office, it's really for everybody who's here. It's the people. And I think, you talked about culture eats strategy for lunch.
Yeah. That's what
Can you elaborate a little bit
Peter
on that?
Drucker said. I didn't say that. He said that. Yeah.
Can we elaborate on that? Because that was a very good insight for us.
Yeah.
That day.
Coming back to what I had still not completed my answer. So the most important thing, having understood how to enhance, increase access to the market, how to recruit the best and the brightest, the next challenge you have is to compare yourself with the best global players in your area and with the best global players in every one of the functions of your organization, whether it is in finance, whether it's in human resources, whether it's in planning, whether it's in sales, marketing, whatever it is. You have to benchmark, not with the Indian one, that will not lead you too far, with the best global thing. Next, I have found is this. In order to communicate the power of your idea, you need to formalize the idea. You need to, where possible, use very simple mathematical modeling. You know, you would be surprised, even though our industry started sometime in 68, until Infosys formalized the idea of remote software development in the form of global delivery model and represented it as a slide with arrows and circles. Somehow nobody had done it. I don't know why. They are brighter than us, they are smarter than us.
Yeah.
That's not the issue. The issue was Infosys was the first one company that formalized the global delivery model. And what the global delivery model did were two things. One, it made it simple for every employee of Infosys to understand the business that we were in. It made our prospects, it made the task of our prospects simple to understand what business we were in, what value we were going to add to them. Third, it also told us what were the various input variables, what were the various output variables, what variables matter most to the customer, what variables can create a feedback loop. You're all engineers, so you'll understand, you've done control systems. So what variables should be in the feedback loop, etc., etc. So therefore, I would say that you have to formalize what you do in terms of formalization does not always mean mathematics. It could be simple logic, but it should be easily representable. It should be easily understood by everybody. It should be easy to communicate. It should be easy to understand, and it should be easy to execute. So that's what I would say you have to do. If you benchmark yourself with the best, we benchmarked with Hewlett Packard in human resources development before Carly Fiorina came. Okay, we benchmarked with Motorola in quality. We benchmark of those days, of course. Motorola today is is a floundering. We benchmarked with General Electric in their ability to deliver top line and bottom line earnings per share quarter after quarter after quarter. So I think in some way you will have to benchmark with the global players. You will have to formalize your value proposition, and you will have to have access to the best talent, and you'll have to reduce friction to access to market. That's where I will stop. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I think benchmarking against, I think there is this tendency to drinking your own Kool-Aid and thinking that you're doing everything right, but fantastic, fantastic advice in terms of, and not just benchmarking, we tend to benchmark on revenue and sometimes, but what you said, it's taking across a broad spectrum view of the entire business and taking it over there. I have two more questions to run through them. One of them is, I'll come back to that. How does culture eat strategy for lunch?
Well, culture is how you spend your time, what brings you joy, what makes you sad, who your friends are, how do you spend it, what kind of books you read, what kind of music you appreciate. The culture is a conglomeration of basically how you spend your life and how you treat people, how courteous you are when you disagree with others, whether you follow the well-known adage, you can disagree with me as long as you are not disagreeable. So I think culture is that. Culture is what distinguishes a gentleman or a lady from a not-so-gentleman or a not-so-good lady. And the beauty of culture is that it helps people to contribute to the common good easily, because one of the aspects of our culture was to put the interest of the company ahead of our personal interest in the short and medium term. And doing that will benefit us hugely in the long term. See, many times some of the younger people in the company were a little bit upset with the focus on austerity that we did. But today they're all laughing to the bank because they're all billionaires, right? So I
Yeah.
think that deferred gratification is very, very important. Agreeing to disagree without being disagreeable is very important. Showing humility and grace when you are on the top is very important. So that's where our byline was powered by intellect, driven by values. That, in essence, summed up the kind of talent we were looking for. In fact, Bill Gates told me, Steve Jobs told me that this was the best byline that they had ever seen. So, anyway.
Absolutely. No, I think disagreeing without becoming disagreeable, I think that's phenomenal insight. Uh, and sir, one of the things from that evening that left a big impression on me is when you talked about how everyone in an organization can do things cheaper, better, faster, but because it always looks like maybe there is a team that is supposed to optimize a business and everybody is support. But you talked about bringing everybody as a stakeholder of change and optimization. Can you enlighten?
Well, the objective of, or the strategic objective of any company has to create and sustain differentiated business value to your customers or consumers. That's all there is. That's all what business is all about. In other words, you have to be ahead of the pack being your competitors. In order to do that, there's only one instrument, and that is constant invention and innovation. Invention is somewhat difficult. Not everybody can do that, but definitely we can have continuous innovation. As I was telling you yesterday, we conducted a workshop in 1990 on how to innovate. We wanted the janitor to the CEO and chairman to be present. We were all present. We were just a small company at that time, probably about 120 people. And a few days later, one of the janitors who used to maintain 6 or 8 conference rooms in what used to be called Ready Building then, where we were before we moved to Electronic City. He asked me, what is this? I didn't understand. And I told him, sit down. I said, you have to ask only 3 questions every day, or at least once a week. One, how can I do whatever I am doing today faster tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
So I explained to him, look, you are cleaning these conference rooms and other rooms. You're using a cloth and one hand. Why don't you try to use 2 pieces of cloth and 2 hands? You would automatically improve your productivity by whatever, 50. But I said, look, at his level, that is the best he could do. So I didn't go into jargons. I didn't go into complex issues. Second, I told him, go to the market and find out if there is a cleaning liquid which will clean a bigger surface area per unit of usage of that cleaning liquid than what you are doing today. The second question that all of us have to ask is, how can I do whatever I'm doing today cheaper tomorrow? I told him, I said, all that you need to do is go to the market and find out if there are any cheaper cleaning liquids which are at least as good as the one that you're using or better. Then automatically you reduce the cost of what you're doing. The third thing I told him was, think about how you can do whatever you're doing today with a higher quality tomorrow. I said, when you clean the conference room and the floors, etc., just spend a little bit of time and find out how many specks of dust are there on the table and on the floor. Take a decision that tomorrow I'll make sure that that is one less. Over a period of whatever, 5 or 10 or 20 days, that floor and that table will be clean. So as long as everybody in the company asks these questions, how can I do whatever I'm doing faster, cheaper, and better, then I think you will be in a position to bring in constant and sustainable competitive advantage for you vis-a-vis your competitors. Of course, we can go on and on and on, but
So I think this is a masterclass that everybody's glued onto it, and we can actually, you know, nobody would want us to stop, but we have something exciting. I've been looking at what's sitting on your left side in the black. Kind of a magic trick, and I wanted to request, but I wanted to say thank you. Can I have a big round of applause for Mr. Murthy for being with us, you know, kind enough to be our chief guest and sharing these pearls of wisdom. Having you here, sir, is a real pleasure and an honor, and I must say that for everybody who is an entrepreneur, and all of us are entrepreneurs here, to be in your presence, to have these words from you, just continues to inspire us to and go and build companies and transform lives and impact India in a way that can contribute the way you have contributed. And you have left a trailblazing road for all of us, and we are right behind you on that journey.
even though I'll be violating your time restraint, let me close it by saying one thing. My friend, late C.K. Prahlad, used to say, entrepreneurship is just a state of mind. It is not that only those who start companies become entrepreneurs. He said, entrepreneurship is all about doing things faster. It's all about creating a competitive advantage for yourself vis-a-vis all others in your group, in your company, in your function, doesn't matter. And it is all about striving for excellence. I think as long as we keep that in mind, we are all entrepreneurs. We may, management gurus may call intrapreneur, all of that is all, that's different. What is important is that every one of us can be an entrepreneur because it is just a state of mind.